Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you into a story. A story about wealth, power, betrayal, but also about redemption, forgiveness, and the rediscovery of family. For 80 long years, Evelyn Vance had been known as a woman of steel. Her handshake was as firm as her reputation, and in the world of business, her name inspired respect, sometimes even fear. She was the kind of woman who could enter a room and command silence without uttering a word. Evelyn lived in a magnificent mansion on Long Island. The house itself was a fortress of marble and glass, a palace that looked out over the restless waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Inside, there was order, precision, and above all, silence. The quiet was broken only by the discreet movements of servants and the distant hum of the waves. But despite the luxury, despite the influence and fortune she had gathered over decades, Evelyn Vance carried a secret emptiness. She had wealth, she had power, she had connections in every corner of society. And yet, she had no family. Her daughter, Isabella, had disappeared 30 years ago, swallowed by time and circumstance. Since that day, Evelyn's heart had remained hollow. She buried her memories deep within the thick walls of her mansion, as though hiding from the past could erase it. But as we know, the past always has a way of finding us. One crisp autumn afternoon, something happened, something that would change the course of Evelyn's life forever. She was on her way back from a meeting in the city when, on an impulse, she asked her driver to stop at a modest cafe in Brooklyn. Now, Evelyn rarely, if ever, visited such places. She preferred the exclusivity of private clubs, fine dining, and invitations reserved for the elite. But that day, for reasons she couldn't quite explain, she stepped into that small cafe, with its scratched wooden tables and the faint smell of roasted coffee beans. And there, behind the counter, she saw her. A young waitress moved gracefully between the tables, balancing trays, greeting customers with a tired but warm smile. What caught Evelyn's attention wasn't the girl's beauty, though she had plenty of it. It was the glimmer of a small silver locket, resting against her collarbone. The locket was shaped like a star. And for Evelyn, it was as if time stopped. That locket had once belonged to Isabella. Evelyn remembered clearly the day she had given it to her daughter, a gift of love, a symbol of their unbreakable bond. Evelyn's heart began to race. She studied the young woman more closely. The straight nose, the soft curve of the chin, and most of all, those deep green eyes. They were Isabella's eyes. It felt like seeing a ghost from the past brought back to life. The young woman's name was Amelia Reed. She was polite, reserved, and carried herself with the quiet dignity of someone who had grown up facing life's challenges without complaint. Evelyn listened carefully as Amelia spoke. She learned that Amelia had lost her mother very young. That she knew only fragments of her family's history, scraps of stories told in whispers. Piece by piece, as Evelyn absorbed every detail, a picture formed in her mind, a picture too clear to deny. This wasn't just a chance encounter. Amelia Reed was her granddaughter. The granddaughter Evelyn had never known existed. The truth, however, came with bitterness. For decades, Evelyn had believed Isabella was gone forever. But she hadn't been. All those years, Isabella had written letters to her mother. Letters filled with pleas for help, confessions of struggle, and finally, the joyous announcement of her daughter's birth. But Evelyn never received them. They had been intercepted, stolen by her son, Julian. Julian, Evelyn's pride and heir, had hidden the truth from her. Why? Because of greed. He feared that if his mother learned of Isabella's child, the family fortune might be divided. He feared losing his inheritance, his influence, his place as the sole successor. So he kept the letters locked away in the cold darkness of a safe. And in doing so, he stole from his mother 30 years of love, 30 years of laughter, 30 years of family. But fate, as it often does, refused to be silenced forever. That simple cafe encounter tore down the walls of lies. A DNA test confirmed what Evelyn's heart already knew. Amelia was her flesh and blood. Her granddaughter. Julian's deception was laid bare. His mask of loyalty shattered, and with it, the trust of his mother. The inheritance he had so desperately clung to now slipped through his fingers, replaced by the shame of betrayal. And in that mansion, once frozen in silence, life returned. Amelia came to live with her grandmother, and she did not come alone. With her was a little boy, her son, Leo. For Evelyn, the sound of his laughter was like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. The cold corridors of the estate filled with warmth, with play, with the simple joy of a child's presence. The rooms that once echoed with nothing but loneliness now rang with Leo's laughter, with Amelia's voice, with the heartbeat of family. The locket, the star-shaped medallion, became more than just jewelry. It became a symbol, a reminder that fate may wound us, Fate may steal from us, but sometimes, just sometimes, it gives back what we have been waiting for all our lives. For Evelyn, finding Amelia was nothing short of a miracle. Where lies had once built walls, truth now laid the foundation of a new family. A family not bound by greed or wealth, but by love, forgiveness, and belonging. And so, the mansion of Evelyn Vance changed forever. No longer was it a silent monument to power and loneliness. It was alive again, with children's laughter, with the warmth of meals shared, with the tender voice of a grandmother telling bedtime stories. Evelyn, once resigned to solitude, found herself reborn. Not as a business tycoon. Not as the mistress of an empire. But simply as a grandmother. And that, dear friends, is the story of Evelyn Vance. A story that reminds us, wealth may build walls, but love tears them down. Fortune may fade, but family is eternal. And sometimes, miracles find us in the most ordinary places, even in a small cafe in Brooklyn. If you enjoyed the story, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe, because there are many more extraordinary tales yet to come.